Hey, I'm Father Nick Rotman, and here's a thought I had today. Again, we're thinking about not being able to receive Holy Communion. And another thought that I had was not being able to receive communion can give us the opportunity to examine the way that we come to communion, right? Our disposition, what are our thoughts, what are our intentions when it really comes to receiving Holy Communion? Do we think about it as literally receiving God, receiving, when we go up to in the Holy Communion line, are we thinking to ourselves, I am receiving the flesh of Jesus Christ. I'm drinking his blood. This is the same experience that the apostles had at the Last Supper. Do we approach it with that kind of seriousness and reverence? Another way of thinking about that reminds me of when, a while back now, we had given a catechetical homily on when to receive Holy Communion. And some of the saints made the point that venial sin, of course, venial sins are forgiven by the reception of Holy Communion, but of course, for any sin to be forgiven, venial or mortal, you have to actually be sorry for it. And so, as some of the saints had pointed out, that if you have venial sin in your life that you really just don't care about, right? Like, you'd rather have that venial sin. You're not doing anything to correct it. Yeah, I'm going to eat all 10 of those cookies tonight, and why shouldn't I, or I'm going to drink, a whole 6-pack of beer tonight, and why shouldn't I? Well, that is a venial sin. And if we're not really recognizing it as something that we need to change, as something that we need to repent from, then are we really in a good state to receive Holy Communion? Now, I'm not saying it's sacrilege necessarily to receive Holy Communion in that state, but the question is, are you really examining your life, right? Are you really approaching Jesus the way that you should in Holy Communion? Because venial sin, although it's not separating us from God, certainly is not the way we want to invite Jesus into our heart, is with this kind of unrepented venial sin in our souls. So maybe this time of having to abstain from the reception of Holy Communion for all of us can be a time for us to examine our life and say, well, what is my disposition? And if there are things that I haven't really repented from in my life, even if they're just venial sins, maybe I need to make that choice. I am going to at least try, at least make the choice to move away from, work against those venial sins in my life so that I can receive Holy Communion more fruitfully, more perfectly when I can receive again. Just a thought.